What's up, people? My name is Liam, and welcome to Millennial Model Mayhem. Today, I'm getting a little parasocial with a somewhat cliche end-of-the-year video to close off 2021 with, but I'm also bringing you some bonus content, such as a tour of my model collection and studio, addressing the hashtag Model Mayhem Challenge, as well as some clacks. It's been about 1.25 years since I uploaded my first video, and I already did a bit of a retrospective discussion in my 1-year anniversary video, aka the Monster Energy Marine 2, but I still feel like a lot has happened since then. Maybe that's just because making videos for YouTube is a wild ride that never stops. I don't really know what the future of Millennial Model Mayhem looks like, but I'm very grateful for all the traction I've been able to get up to this point, especially considering how niche my content is. But there's also the constant financial situation looming over me outside the content zone that I have to consider. You don't have to worry about me quitting, though. I've invested so much into it already, and I've also had so many rewarding experiences that I definitely want to keep creating and growing. It's just a question of how much time I have to dedicate to Millennial Model Mayhem. Channel analytics and monetization aside, I'm very satisfied creatively with the work I've been doing over the last quarter of the year, especially my latest Gamma Wolves project. Those of you who saw that video are probably thinking that I have to get the next crew done in 2022, but enough about old videos. Allow me to show you the spaces that I create and display my models in. Okay, welcome to the studio tour. First, I'm gonna show you my signature box art wallpaper here that's in the background of my videos. I, add to it when I finish projects. You can see I added the real grade box art even though I said it was bad. Mix of old and new here. And then as you can see, there's a little bookshelf here that I have some side pieces on. And then I have the empty shelf here for which I put whatever models are relevant to whatever video I'm filming. And then right next to it we have my makeshift stage here, which just is 2 basic IKEA lamps and a painted piece of construction paper with an upside down cutting mat. And this white disc here is just a mini reflector that I use sometimes. And now quickly over to the desk here. It's not much to say here. It's a desk with a computer. And you can see the mic and a shelf with just random painting supplies, stationery, And this here is just like a camera boom arm that I use for the overhead shots. And over on the other side of the room here is my secondary desk, which is pretty janky. It's mostly just for the airbrushing setup, so you can see we got the spray booth here with the hose going all the way to the window. And then of course we got the backlog. Most of the backlog anyways. There's a lot there, so I'm not going to explain any of it. And behind here we've got random airbrushing supplies and, a respirator, because that's important. Alright, and over here we have the shelf that I put all the miniatures in. Start at the bottom. So over here we've got the Lizardman, also known as Seraphon. As you can see, I've got the nice rebased, modernized ones at the front and the old square base ones at the back. So, I'll rebase these, or I'll rebase some of these eventually when I feel like it. Definitely a lot of nostalgia attached to this army. And on the other side here, we've got my Warhammer Fantasy Empire army, which I'm gonna leave on the square bases, I think, forever. Just, to keep it in the past that way. It's nostalgic. And since Conquest, the Last Argument to Kings is kind of the one fantasy rank and flank game I have right now, we got these ones on the same shelf, so hopefully I'll paint more of these soon. Wow, I'm being so vulnerable, showing you all these old paint jobs. I think I've shown some of these in a video before, but you know what I mean. And the next 2 shelves are a bunch of War Machine and Horde stuff, mostly Signar and some mercenaries. So you can see I played a lot of these factions in Mark II. Still really enjoy the way this big mech turned out. It's called the Storm Wall. And yes, there are a few mismatched shades of purple in here. Painted this army over a long period of time. And on the other side, we got another cool steampunk robot. And the next shelf up is kind of just a mix of a bunch of different things. Got some dragons and monsters in the back, got some Mark I War Machine, Up near the front, we got some D&D minis, and the Lizardman Blood Bowl team. Some more miscellaneous War Machine and Hordes. And the shelf above that is mostly 40k and some Infinity. There's the iconic Monster Energy Marines. And in the back, we got the first edition of the Alien vs. Predator board game / miniatures game by Protos Games. And these last two shelves in here are for the Scorn I have, which I think look awesome when they're all next to each other. The bottom shelf is mostly the infantry units and some warlocks. That's a lot of gold trim. And on the top part, we got mostly war beasts and pain giver units. There's actually an update to the rules in the fall for War Machine and Hordes that was pretty exciting. It gave me an excuse to build a lot of army lists for fun, and I always enjoy that. Oh wow, I just realized how much I miss playing tabletop games. Hopefully that's something I can start doing again in 2022. On the bright side, I was digging through an old box the other day, and I found this artifact from Mark I War Machine. Gives me an excuse to rearrange the nerdy wallpaper that I just showed off to you. Anyways, let's move on to the last shelf, which I'm sure some of you are waiting very patiently for. Okay, now it's time to show off the gunpla shelves. But we're gonna start all the way at the bottom, because it's not all gunpla. First of all, at the very bottom, I mostly put my trading card collection, mostly Magic the Gathering, some Pokemon, because I wanted to weigh the shelf down and keep it bottom heavy so it wouldn't tip over. Then the next shelf up, we have a miscellaneous collection of action figures and my unpainted kits. You know, I like dragons, we got some dragons here. And then we got some Alien vs. Predator stuff there with a secret anime girl in the back. Don't worry, this shelf is gonna get even more dissonant. Because next, we've got Blue Parappa's LBX kits, an Ava Unit 2 that I partially painted, and of course some Monster High and Forever After High dolls that belong to Blue Parappa. Because, you know, she deserves to display her collection on the shelf, too. Speaking of Blue Parappa, the next shelf up is mostly her stuff. There's the iconic nail art Gog. Got a painted wing Gundam in the back there. A lot of her stuff is unpainted, you know, which is fine. It's your hobby, your way. And Blue Parappa's a fan of Death Scythe, so we got 4 of them here. 2 SDs, Master Grade, High Grade. Always looking to add more. Then, of course, No Bell Gundam and the Red Bull God Gundam have to go together. And then this is my Optimus Prime, because, you know, might as well throw him on the shelf, too. He's a big boy, he's fancy. And the shelf above that is all my painted stuff. With the exception of this clear color bale, I put it up there just because I wanted to, it looks nice. So obviously, as I paint new kits, this shelf changes a lot. I rearrange it a lot as I paint new things. And then the corner, which is my favorite spot, we got all the Gamma Wolves boys all together, looking nice and fancy. And you know I'm gonna add more to that eventually. And lastly, the top shelf is mostly Digimon stuff. These bugs here are actually felted by Blue Parappa. And of course, 2 different Dukemons, and we threw the SDs up here as well. So yeah, that is the, I guess, Plamo shelf, you could call it. Even though it's a mix of Plamo and some collectibles. And you can see it's getting pretty full. We're gonna have to get a new one eventually. There you have it, my studio and model collection. I didn't want to show you anything else of where I live, because that would be weird. Anyways, way back in February, in my Seraphon painting video, I said, these lizardmen riding dinosaurs, the rebased lizardmen, 4 Stormcast Eternals, this terrain made from a Mega Bloks dragon set, this chibi-style dragon, my remaining Scorn, a kit-bashed mech for Gamma Wolves, some Pano from Infinity, and my remaining Drukari. It's the Model Mayhem Challenge! What did I get done? The lizards riding dinosaurs, some of the rebased lizardmen, the original kit-bashed mech for Gamma Wolves, and the remaining Drukari. I was working on the chibi dragon, but it took a bit of a rough tumble off the desk, so I decided to remove it from the challenge entirely. F's in the chat to pay respects. Yes, I didn't finish the challenge, but a lot of the models on this list, I don't think they would have gotten painted in the first place if I hadn't given myself the challenge, so that's a win for me. I'm hesitant to commit to another challenge for 2022, but I at least want to give myself the rough goals of finishing all my Scorn models and finishing the second crew for Gamma Wolves. And therefore I immortalize these goals in video format. But that's not all I want to do. I've been prepping both the remainder of the units I painted in my Conquest video for use on live streams, as well as a 1/100 Vidar kit bash that I'm going to be painting in Model Mayhem style. Except this time it's not going to be for Gamma Wolves. I want to try something else with the base, so it's going to be more of a display project. I also finally put together some Seraphon models, so I hope you're thirsty for some
clacks.
Like I said before, I don't know exactly what the future looks like for Millennial Model Mayhem. What I can tell you is that I will continue to work on projects that personally motivate me and reinforce my passion for the craft. Also, that I really appreciate you watching me throughout the journey, especially those of you who are still watching this far into the video. If you want to help motivate me with my content creation endeavors in 2022, consider becoming a channel member or patron, like these lovely people. And of course, shout out to the Mayhem Machine Bo, and member of the Gog Hand, Janelle. Until I see you again in the Millennial Model Mayhem content zone, take care of yourselves, and never forget this.
Struggle, contend, wriggle. That alone is the sword of one who confronts death. The algorithm demands that you lock on notifications and annihilate the like and subscribe buttons. And leave a comment.